to the Sundown Show. On this show, we bring you the movers and shakers of South Sudan and the world over. We engage in debates and discussions that unearth the stories behind the news. And we have our light moments too by chit-chatting about issues that affect our day-to-day life. Stay right here on the Sundown. Join in and be part of the show on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
أهلا ومرحبا بكم في برنامج سانداون على آي راديو. في البرنامج ده بنستضيف شخصيات بارزة ومؤثرة من جنوب السودان ومن حول العالم، وبنتحدث معاهم عن القضايا اللي بتهم بلدنا وبتأثر على حياتنا. كمان بنتطرق في القصص خلف الأخبار وبنتبادل الأحاديث الخفيفة عن حياتنا اليومية. شاركونا، كونوا جزء من البرنامج فقط على آي راديو، عينك على جنوب السودان.
Hello and welcome to the Sundown Show on iRadio with me, Madrama James. Today is Thursday, November 13th, 2025. This program comes to you Monday to Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for comprehensive look at the daily events, the latest information, in-depth analysis, exclusive interviews, and exciting surprises. To be part of the show, call us on that 0911-22986-986. Send for us a text message on 0913-986-986. If you can't access the radio, we are also on that Facebook, X to YouTube, and more. You can stream this program live by logging to that's our website at www.iradio.org. Coming up in this program, the Minister of General Education and Instruction, Kuyok Abul Kuyok, says the primary 8 exams will start on November 24th and run until November 29, while senior 4 exams will begin on December 1st and finish on December 9th, 2025.
The Council has finalized all examination processes and the official examination administration dates have been confirmed. The CPE and the CSE examinations will commence on Monday, 25th November 2025 and will conclude on Friday, 29th November 2025. For CPE, while the CSE examinations will commence on Monday, the 1st December 2025 and will conclude on Tuesday, the 9th December 2025, as detailed in the official timetables attached herewith. The timetable will be displayed immediately after this statement.
Well, before that, we would like to welcome you to this first hour where we will be discussing a crucial issue that affects many vulnerable populations, the rights of survivors of gender-based violence, GBV, and children in conflict with the law. Addressing the United Nations Security Council in New York, Sima Sami, the executive director of UN Women, revealed that since April 2023, over 1.2 million people have crossed into South Sudan, straining the country's already limited resources and increasing the risk of sexual violence, abduction, and forced marriages, especially among women and girls. The UN recorded 260 cases of conflict-related sexual violence in 2024 alone, the highest number reported in Western Equatoria State. Sima noted that women and girls in South Sudan remain among the most vulnerable, with an estimated 2.7 million people at risk of GBV. It's essential to understand the legal framework in place to safeguard them and how society can better support their journey towards healing and justice. To delve deeper into this topic, I'm thrilled to be joined live in the studio by Advocate Maurice John Peter, a First Legal Aid Officer, and Sergeant Major Huda Mohammed, Gender Unity Special Protection Unit, South Sudan National Police Service, Central Equatoria State. First, allow me to invite Advocate Morris to briefly tell us more about that phase South Sudan. Good to have you once again here.
Shukran Katira. Thank you so much, James. I'm so much glad to be with you today once again. FACE is a national organization facilitating action against facilitating action for empowerment against whatever is an organization that works in thematic areas of gender-based violence and other areas of peace building, access to justice. So the current project that we are having at hand is a project which is being supported by the Kingdom of the Netherlands in partnership with UNDP, which is trying to create a sensitization or awareness to the public on the existence of the gender-based violence and the juvenile court in South Sudan, like the proceedings involved. And not only that, but also the juveniles who come in conflict with the law. What happens, like if they're in conflict in the law, being a perpetrator or being a survivor, and also a witness in that kind, what happens in South Sudan context here.
All right, briefly give us, of course, a background of how juvenile cases in South Sudan look like before we proceed.
Okay, thank you so much. When you look at juvenile is a legal term which refers to children who are below the age of 18 years. That's what our Child Act of 2008 says in the Constitution. So the report suggested that there are very many children who are in conflict with the law in one way or the other. So sometimes those children happen to be the victims of gender-based violence. And sometimes these children comes in conflict with the law because they must have maybe committed some crimes. There are very many crimes which involves the juveniles or the children. Not only that, sometimes the children themselves are also witnesses in some cases. So how do you handle cases to do with the juvenile or the children who are below the age of 18 years? So actually, like the report you have been reading before we started the show, indicates that South Sudan was, if not the first or the second leading country in Africa with gender-based violence cases. And taking into consideration the inadequate number of judges in South Sudan, not putting GBV cases to be so special. So I don't need to thank the government for the Kingdom of Netherlands through the partnership with the UNDP, who came out with a suggestion that there must be a GBV and a juvenile special court to handle this kind of cases. So the aim was to expedite the process of handling these cases so that the perpetrators are brought to book, because the number of the cases actually are alarming us so much. So when you go to the prison, you also find that there are so many juveniles who are in conflict with the law, who must have committed some crime one way or the other, and their cases continue to be pending. And those are the future leaders of this country. So they came out with a very good idea through the government also, under the leadership of the former Chief Justice, Chenraj Madut, that the establishment of the JBV and Juvenile Court happened in South Sudan through the support of these people. So that was the idea behind the GBV and Juvenile Court being established in the country.
All right. And Huda, الناس مبارك كمان من Advocate Morris في أطفال كتير في داخل جنوب السودان دائما they are coming into conflict with the law كده وريلا بدأ تشكل مشاكلات لا دائما نتم في مركز بتاع بوليس القاد بهمسكوا يالل بسبب ديل كله. مرحبا.
شكرا. أنا مرتاح عشان this is the second day مرة نمرة تاني أنا بونس بعربي عشان أي زول بعرف.
قدم.
أي. أنا مرتاح بمنظمة فيس ساوث سودان وأنا بشكر UNDP وأي راديو عشان ودي لنا فرصة دي. أنا اسمي هدى محمد. أنا ماسك special protection unit يعني cases تنانا كتير بعنف ضد النو أو لو جينا ودورو lo jena suker wodur de musulia tanna faksam kullu inda na aje de gender unit de yan ma bisibu jena de sambala de musulia tanehna kan zol dia ahal jena jabalik fi bolis jena de biligo maana lo mali glo ma fi mahal jena de biogot fiu bwedi fi center cars de CCC St. Clair base they are haja introduction. Then binisba le mashakil te yale yan mashakilat algad ligena shedid le yan marat fi rape iktisab au child abuse they are mashakilat ketir algewa jena yan talgo jena umu mafi au umu fi lakin teriga algigo budube jena masa wo jena suker jena juvenile de yan min umur min 18 let below 18 yano min teta 18 jena disa ma wosul 18 sena de wo jena ya jama yan inna kan mashakilat zede jale na fi bolis o sab jiddan gi asir menna falea besita derna
bara min rep de hatu mashakilat nina albaru to kan bielga taban fi yom bela yamana mashi lahadi fi nukta sijinal fi Juba wita bielga kaman fi yala algal de serag haja de kan shunu wajat ketir bara min rep de hatu mashakilat baru kaman fi markas tumgad bielga tuwale
marat yalda atimin au marat yalde mashakil tanin marat bijibu leta jena gal serego yala fi investigation kan gata mula ahwal tabasalum albirastu la kashantem sitasreg sunu obi gulana jian yala tabi gulo ita jian kanana fetis leta teriga tabagder ligo fogo akil bikun kwez obi gule leta beteriga sana ma harami lakin zurufi yabi khalana bamul haja zaide
o zurub de zadu wena abwadu ma bitayal ketir letum gad bagigu
ketir to mon alna gasa de mon bigula umatai mafi awana bigen be step mother yan magi tritana beteriga sa yana tala min bet ana biga gili fa shwai sampala.
Well, over to you, Maurice. Taking a look at what Huda just mentioned, how does this also put children into a situation where they can come into conflict with the law because others are, like you heard, Jana Biserego, the situation is really difficult, but at the end of the day, you know, that alone put them into prison.
Shukran Katira, James. I think Major Sergeant has already made it very clear. We're trying to look at it from the GBV context. Al-Kef Iyal be involved in this kind of issues. Last time we were able to brief the listeners that GBV is a violence which is done towards somebody because of the gender or mara wala ragel. Lakin, as I was saying in the beginning, it will go beyond ban mara aljana ya bokun victim to gender-based violence. Aljana masalan bokun maybe the victim or the survivor of a rape, for instance, zekalama locally. Sometimes aljana zato bokun maybe a complainant al bokun bidugo. Quite. Then we are trying to look at those kind of special protections from the police. Masalan kan jana de ya a survivor or a victim to gender-based violence by anyone at all. Or two, masalan kan ya zatu zola lamul the crime itself committed, like mentioned kalamta rape, because sometimes the survivors, the perpetrators also happen to be children. Time lanta lugo ban marafi jana and act agala min tamantasha sena hamil bit ala agala kama min tamantasha sena but in law is a crime, you understand. Talaka ban mara wole desato au ya dugu binia ala agala min tamantasha sena oja in conflict with the law. So lakin ganun bainu teriga al bainu special protection le nazare, because the law says even if you are below the age of 18 years lakin to also fitama itnasha sena le gidam you be responsible for the crimes that you have committed. For instance, James, making wallet kamisha sana sitasa sana bishilu ajer biluku disaster zone making tarabia wala disaster jua. That's a crime by its nature. Lakin o jena soker o mosul tamantasha sana because lo ma bag the trito kano zul kebir and also kalasta tamantasha sana because he did not look at the consequences of his act. So it will go be in anfiso bad ketir bija lakin because of these protection units Alfi police there, they handle their cases in a very good manner. Because there's one idea of the confidentiality of all the circumstance. Laano janada all sendo mustaqbal katir. Lazim al-mutahari wala kan investigator alfi unit there be make sure being all the evidences, all the proceedings, the investigation they become so much confidential. Nan ma bo really na standing being wala they alkan amul rap wala they amul jarima, this kind of things. Even when you go to GPV and juvenile court now in Juba, taga being terigal now set up of the court itself is so much that it protects like the image of the child who is involved in a conflict with the law. So sometimes you cannot even see the person, the witness for instance can jibuga legend asuker. There's a place where they can sit and they testify, and the judge can only take a record of that. Not that they should be exposed to the perpetrator because it's very risky. Ita kan gije bujana asuker fi mahakama asanja testify against someone who has committed a crime or who has committed a rape for instance. Al kan making a rape de gas ligo fi why no matter to. Ita gije bo fi mahakama sana kun shahid lakini ujana asuker is very dangerous. So there are some ways of how the court can deal with the proceeding, like in the police, they can deal with them. You can talk about the safety of that particular person. Because laano o lazim bukun fi mahala al safe. Masala no kan victim alela. Yala the perpetrator is still there at large, or the relatives of the perpetrator are still looking for them money out, this kind of things. So there is need for safety. Whether the person is in conflict with the law, or the person is one of the perpetrator or the person is even a victim of that particular circumstance. And there's the aspect of the dignity. Laano bino zamana guta gibel that crime happened ma bukun the last thing like alila asil wasil kalas. No, the child still has a future next tomorrow. So the child, the idea of taking the child to be accountable for the crime is to take him through the reformatory systems. Laano fiterigal be amulu mo currently anende na fi reformatory center fi Juba or fi Wow. They are not everywhere. So yal zede al sukarinde kan jafi conflict malo bishilungu bodi mo fisikil malaja and let them learn from what they have done and they change their way forward. Because as I was saying, del yal bukura bad bukura bukun zeta making ministers bukun nas kubar making even they can become even the president of the country. And that does not mean that lifetime can be destroyed. So we are trying to look at Jama Delphi Migisim Masterland for Nokta Bitam, be handle cases the cave. Can they yali reported wala can they Nascobata GPV, because still there is this case management that we need to let our people understand. Ma years old bijib kabara beno jana de akanamu rapping ujana de akanamu jarima. Shukran.
Now, before I invite Huda, who would like to invite you to let our listeners know how can someone identify or know that this is GBV a survivor. Then Huda will tell us, of course, some of the rights of GBV survivor quickly.
Okay, for a GBV survivor is someone who have experienced a gender-based violence. How do you know that Zolde experienced gender-based violence? Because it's not necessarily being Oyabokun complainant in that case. For instance, if the child is below the age of 18 years, if you're opening up a case, like if she happened to be the victim of a rape, because, for example, Anna Bikelim, this all I'll experience being raped, they can law. But now, when you go to the case, you find out that there must be a parent, a guardian, who will come and stand to be a complainant in a particular case. So, how do you identify is like that the person experienced that GPV by him or herself? Dugo ita na fi dom kubo fi jara making the rapping amullo but she according to Form 8 in her name al bodo mo fi musheshfa amullo. So this is how you identify that this is the survivor of that particular GPV case.
Thank you. Over to you, Huda. What are the rights of that juvenile or survivors of GBV? Itataban Shakhalfi Protection Unit juzumin survivors el hak bitomon shuno.
طبعا حق survivor في جسم ده زي لو حصل مشكلة زي ده تبوديو Form 8 ده يالي عندنا مكتب تينا خاص Special Protection Unit ده طبعا حاجة ده confidentiality ده سير تاكي و survivor تبودي Form 8 بيشيلو مستشفى وما بيمشي برا لازم يتبقى مو كان في أهل في برضو يتبقى مو في مستشفى باكو دي علاجات lama nakud ilajat tambija fi gisim fi gisim lena na GBV investigators, they are well trained, they have experience in gender yan fi ahwal te GBV
Muslimin baru der haruf malu cases diamond gigeni yan haja sirri benita wa survivor.
Taban haja de bikun sirri de laanu ma bikun saka anta kuonus fi public shunu bikun suma yan kan survivor de gira fi mahal iya zol bimidu ya de biniar kan repudi ya de biniar yan bi asir mo ba mullo nefsiyat yan ay mahalo bemshi o bikun zo barao yan ba mulo psychological o bikun endu nefsiyat ya haja de bikun sirri و أحوال تالتا شيلو ده تما بقدر شارك بأي زول ولو ما دير ونس تما باسورو بقوة تبسيب له فرصة تبودي له مويو باسورو تما بيقتالا كلمات الساب دي عشان دير تلقو معلومة الساب ودير تلقو حقه أيو برضو لو في ناس في مكتب ده تبي تور تبي قال تبودوم فرصة كلات لبارا لأنو confidential ده سير تقلبا itama bitala kalam de sambala
وبزاد في نايا بتا جيفي يعني دير لو حاجة قام فترة ولا ساعات كده عشان جزء منهم كمان بيقدر يلقى مساعدة زي مستشفى وباقي قوانين وإجراءات الكل
دير 72 ساعات لأنه طبعا مشاكلات دي قاعدة القينا في أقسام لكن due to some challenges some برات ناس القاي حسلهم مشاكل دي ناس مساكين ما بقدر وإن ذاته sometimes challenge the transport تسمع إلا نباق دراسة كان في طريقة لمنظمات بيساعدنا بعربية إننا بيقدم survivor في مستشفى عشان نستخدم خدمات لقو حق تتو إلى جد.
نعم وديل البيقى بمايندو طريقة عشان كيف ويجروا بخون مثلا ترانسبورت شكل زول زي كمان بيلقى يتو هدانا
والله كان مايندو طريقة أننا زي GBV group هناك في قسم أنا بعمل مرات تبروات نباجر ركشة أصلا بقدر ساويل ساعدو حياة survivor ما بقدر سيبو زدا عشان قروش ما في لازم أنا زي أساكر تي GBV أو أي عسكري كانين حال دساب نبعمل تبروات نباجر ركشة نشيلو survivor في مستشفى بعدين نجي راجي استمر بإجراءات.
نعم. Advocate Morris, what are the rights of a juvenile in conflict with the law from time to time or time of arrest in the police station up to that's the prosecution in the court?
Shukran Katira, James. I just wanted to put something into what my colleague have said before I could do that. Because like a survivor kan zol kebir wala kan jana suker. Monindo mhugug zema ka meja kan kelim kubarsuya the listeners. Sergeant Major, sorry. And also to add on that, they have also the right to psychosocial support. Laanu lozola mullo raping wala can experience gender-based violence cases. Tabiga binu zolda ma bokoni ndo normal mindset bitautani. So this kind of a person requires a psychosocial support. That's why anakeli binu fi social workers alga mullo the position within the police stations. In all the makati bitam da gender they talk benefit social workers. Yeah, social workers lofi GPV cases asil. One of their things is to give a psychosocial support to the person. As an bukuto bridge fi mindset to al because if you don't give it, nanzole ma be feel what the Sergeant Major was saying, ma be feel being uzol fi muktama wala fi community. So one of the right is to give them the psychosocial support. Two, you don't forget about the legal assistance or the legal aid. Lano the victim or the survivor ma be arbu kanu o mofuru ba amana tilo nijirat. So there immediately he or she requires a legal assistance, a legal aid. Masalan kalasitarwa, you take Form 8, you go to the police, to the hospital, you have your treatment. For instance, you come back, you file a case, you go to the police station. You know this kind of things. It requires a legal aid to be given to the person at the end of the day. As a no biar for minako biamol suno. Zemana guta gibel kandezol kebir, umikin bokul complain at the same time. Lakin kandija na suker making the parents to guardian beji bokun complain. Lakin obe amol suno. Masa namshile niaba o shilo arida amal hajar beshikil. So it requires proceedings like an advice. Al bodile zolde asan biyamul sunu. And there's this important aspect of non-discrimination of the survivors. Laano kan jawasul fi police, you don't need to discriminate those survivors based on their gender. You don't need to discriminate them based on their religion, based on the color, based on their tribe, based on the ethnic group. La anta nga making ana ma zole ma masalan ma mendinka wala ma minuwer lakini ana minena I forget about. So you don't need to discriminate them based on this kind of different aspects, like the gender. This all man ma be deal more. This all ragel because can the ragel aja report being he was raped or he was beaten by the woman. You need to believe that what he's saying is true, and the officer in charge need to not discriminate. It has all ragel kef mara bidu ita. This kind of things happening in the community. So they have the right not to be discriminated based either on their gender, on their tribe, even on their religion, even on the color.
No.
So having said that, let me talk briefly about what you said about the children in conflict with the law. Zemana Guta Gibel, survivors, they can either be children or they can be adults. And they all require the same rights to be taken through. The only aspect there is when the survivor is a child, he or she has the right for the information to be given to the guardian, because sometimes you don't know where these things happen. Sometimes the parents are not informed. Like you, the person who's in the station, the person in the sector, the person in the community center, information that goes to law, that you make sure as a police officer, the information reaches the guidance or the parents of a particular child. He has the right, okay? But if the person happened to be a victim, if the person happened to be one of a perpetrator, for instance, who is in conflict with the law, because it might be out of, maybe in that process of committing the gender-based violence crime or the cases, obukun jana sukera agala mintamanta chaksana. Zemana guta gibelo obukun making bihamel benia, walo making bidugu marato. Because now people sometimes they go for early marriages around 16, 15 to go bino karasu wale making aroso. Like can survive or can juvenile, he has those kind of rights. Like one, to inform the particular parents or the guardian of the child in conflict with the law. Bino jana ataki kan in amana mushkila kida hata kan ma GPF bara mikin fikisi sainta theft zema gibela Sergeant Major Kalim mikin sera go haja fi suk wala fi bed wala fi community. So buorile ahal to bino jana ataki de kan involve fi crime 1 2 3 jana de kamani ndo hak asan borilo bino itendo hak asan be remain silent because yeye ataka nonusu, maybe it will be used against you. Ita kamani ndo hak zato le legal representation, because in some of these serious crimes the legal person is supposed to be provided by the state, for instance. But our scenario in South Sudan is sometimes very unique, where you find that people try to hire their lawyers even if the cases are very serious cases. So can mafia state can be guys mabaja wodilo muhami wendo haka san baini ya muhami fi suk asan prepare. So de munya borilo kalamade ita kan mutahari fi case wala kanita GPV officer within that particular police station. You tell the child all the rights. Benitendo haka san tajiblek muhami itendo haka san mataguli ya haja le zoltan altamader kelim inda haka san to keep quiet. Even if you don't want to talk, you have that right to keep quiet till when you are willing like to talk, you can talk. Then you have the right also to inform your parents being of haja why it nin talata giasil.
Shukran. And Sergeant Major Huda nader kamara bita shan kefta bagder wurlana qatwa nishil misal bukun jana serga haja wala luku miraya bitarabia wa kasar de ya tukatwa al bagdar shilu shan shikil jana zede baru kaman bagdar ko budumo
jana lo serga haja au kasur miraya tarabia.
Sometimes badi da belga abu mafi uma mafi wala usura saatu be wen maharufu shikil jana zede baru bi elga adala kef
jana zede balga adala lo nana di sidarabia au shakide nabi wonus mo beteriga sana bi hawil haniso nabi wonus loga de jena suker taban o magasit haja de wamul lakini o magasit amul o mwa didita de accident taban jena lo lisa tehtamantashar o ma mufruti amul jerima sidarabia de au sidu haja jena de seregulo afi nabi gulo shukran lo gul kere dafa bade nabi amu recommendation na bodile niaba yala niaba bagara bain kalam de bi halel bodile na solution lani ita zai mutaharik au kan mushkila de jaleta ta mendi gurusha alta bidafa le sida arabia de ta bil go wen lazim ta bi hani zolal al haja to karabude lanu de jena suker umu mat abu mafu mat ta bi hani so ashano bagder rudu beterigasa.
نعم.
شكرا.
ولويتانو في ريبورت بتاع UN برضو تقريبا أكثر من 2.7 مليار ناس في داخل جنوب السودان ديل فيو يال وفيو كمان ناساوين في مرحلة الخطورة بتاع GBV كاي سبيشال بروتكشن يونت في سنترال إكواتوريا تم قاعد بعمل شنو عشان كيف يقللوا عدد ديل برضو.
إننا كان في سنترال إكواتوريا إننا قاموا awareness raising أو توعية في مجتمعات an GBV de haja makwez de jerima kan hasile iya zol kede zol balig lena fi agrab shurta markaz division ashan police be take measures on that.
Quickly, anything you like to add, Advocate, then we give chance to
add something to
listeners.
Sergeant Major what she just said. Kalamta gobut lo fi umul gobut tala min niyaba kalama locally based on the recommendation ta mutahari masalan fi balak and al gobut jana suketa masalan below the age of 18 years o lazim yakun the last resort binu yamlo gobut kois lanu there are some possible ways of how to handle a child masalan lo fi teriga al bisuri settlement jana de al making begin fi betumon o by no is very safe is recommended lano jana de masala nta kan silfi fi detention center al nasa lo gola game one fi detention centers we don't have those separated detention centers like in Juba they make in Malta yale again for barao de Malta nisa sometimes it's very risky ita bishilu jana ta bukutu fi mal manas kubar fi sigin wahid for instance kan fi police yala inaka ogra ligo experience al batal bashia bigi zol bana kelema what did you do ana katulu zol ana numa marazol ana amono de for a child to hear those kind of stories experiences is very bad. So an arrest when it comes to issues to do with the children and if conflict with the law it must be the last resort. Albino niaba shafu bino mafi teriga tani al making be onusuma jena de teriga al kwes masana zika alamu gibel kalim masana kan fi sultan that fi hila masana borele sultan gal sultan you be on watch on this child we are doing our investigation to find out hal wamul jarima de wala mamul jarima da so ata kan fi headman wala kan fi zol mosul fi bet albino kalas this child should not escape the jurisdiction o bag der geni lakin kan ma fi teriga mara way beno jana making be jere min sinta crime ba amul sunu that's when this kind of children are arrested and only can make a very serious crimes like kalama local gibelde. The second thing is the use of force by a police officer towards a child must be something which is minimum. You get me? Ita can get a go to Jana Suker, ita ma bro go to Kanta go to Zul Kibir. Like the use of the force. Nan go alta be stamil masalan ka Zul police woman or a police officer where you come with your organized forces tambukon talata arba making with even a pickable Land Cruiser to come and arrest somebody even from the CID department. It should be a minimum force that you use to arrest a child. Ma bokon nepsa go alta bestamil lezol kibir ita bestamil lejana suker.
Now, Sergeant Major, mean zaman bit establishment bit a special court they are to challenges al diamond tum gad bielga gibelta wonus bokon mashakil bit a transport ubara mean transport they are to challenges kaman tum gad bielga
mashakil al gadin al go diamond fi tijate court de zol bijibu zol fi sijin bikutu bishila huwa lakin zaman te makama sometimes nas magi follow up gedia in that yal biga tabanin ladi gimutu fisijin u ahalu sometimes mafi ya risala taile nas kante fata balak taki
mabe batal min bidaya ta sana da fi jana bokon mutu fi harasa
ana masma mafi lakin fi ayan yal ketir gita la yan lakin because of hygiene as you know then also akil manesia bardu kanta fi sijinta bikunendi nefsiyal sala jibleta aksen akil tama bag derakulu lanu hayata ki bikun sabta bikunenda afkar ay risala taile nas kanta fata balak taki tajibu ya zol fi gisim lazim kereta follow up cases kan sulu zol de sala fi sijin keleta follow up gediare ladi wasul fi nihaya lana sa sijin maliani yal fi alzatu mamul jerima bes kutumoni nak suspectumon
Yala a special protection unit fi Central Equatoria be munazama mesela fi South Sudan gad ba mulshinashan kefi hilu mashakilata nen juzu minum altum gad bialga
special protection unit de yan guwe di ajedi yan mongi asadu mashakilate yal barabar masalan ze kanana rafi gisi mana ligo jena fi custody ana bi asado itamul sunu kaltendi kamyom fi harasa jerima taki sunu yala mutaharik taki munu yala na buraga bil mutaharik to kan jerima de simple ana bonus be mutaharik bigul nadi ahal taki tuwali bifiko
Advocate Morris, what is Face South Sudan doing to make sure that perpetrators of gender-based violence face the law and at the same time survivors get the right legal and medical services?
Okay, thank you so much. Finaha doesn't makalama locally. You know, there are some challenges where people try to abandon cases. And as an organization, my special protection unit, what we do is we do a legal aid, a kind of awareness, giving them the legal aid. Like it, I'm making that Sigin, you identify all those children who are within their remand. Nasa lisa machilu fi mahakama. You try to find out cases someone there on cases and how far cases someone there were. Because sometimes people be jafata balak fi gisim, will be abandoned malafde, besib malafde already go to zol de would differ sigin. Lakin ma betabi. So as an organization, we give them the legal aid, the legal advice, what they are supposed to do, because can case take akir figisim, you are supposed to have someone who is following up the case with the investigator, for instance. As an bishilu case the body fi mahakama, as an bias. The court has the right can make in jibu malaft arba talata wala kam samarat fi mahakama, lakin complaint magi appear. The court can decide on the fate of the child, because at the end of the day, ma jabu jana das and chebu fi sigin mara wahid. That's when situations say because being makama be decide being okay, let's release this child on a bail. Can zo leja benu biya jibucha defisno fi makama be just more. And so what we basically do is the legal aid or the legal advice to the kind of people. We identify them. Then we approach the investigators on their behalf.
Thank you. Dear listener, it's time now for us to talk to each other. If in case you have just joined us, you're listening to the Sundown Show on Radio with me, Madram James, and we are discussing about rights of the GBV survivors and children in conflict with the law. Pick that cell phone and dial our studio line after this break.
It's a Baghdad Diamond Wenisuma iRadio ala nimrata telefon 0911-986-986 au itabirese risala ala nimra 0913-986-986.
Awil Mukalama iRadio.
Yes, iRadio, how are you?
Mabatal, I'm okay, how are you?
Fine.
Your name?
Anay calling from Awil.
Anay from Awil. What's your question, Anay?
Yes, first of all, I welcome the guests in the studio. My question goes like this. We observe all the gender-based violence cases. And most of the cases, as we know, our country is very poor, and every process in South Sudan here could be done using money. And we know if you don't have money, you will never ever get right. So, how do the victims survive when they done wrong or she done wrong? That is question number one. Question number two: how do we know? How do we know that there is child right and a survivor is right?
Thank you, Anay, for your question. iRadio. Na merja fi 09 wide wallet nini 996 GBV survivor Almudun Guru Show Bielga Adala Cave. iRadio.
Good evening, Madrama.
Good evening, Diang Deng.
Thank you. Nazal given the child. We are talking about the child.
Yes, we are talking about rights of GBV survivors and children in conflict with the law.
those children who are already in conflict with are now perpetrators. I would willing to ask a question related to my sister. I don't know, will it match with them?
Go ahead. To Sergeant Major?
Yeah.
Go ahead, then.
Okay, my question is that my sister is facing serious domestic violence and she's been divorced by the husband due to that issue. And now we are in the court since last year. Until now, the right is not given. And also the husband is still playing a role, working hard to make sure that he is not successful. Because I put her back to school. And even last week, the same husband went and opened another case against her. And he arrested her in his schools. And I work hard again to bail her out. So, and this one have annoyed me seriously. And I want GBV unit, whether in Cuba or Northern Barbados, to help me. I want to take her to them. She's even traumatized. This girl now, if you just shout at her, she will cry.
First of all, where is your sister?
She's in a will.
And have you reported this issue to police?
Yeah, we are now in the court.
Okay, thank you. Advocate Morris and Sergeant Major will help you in that shortly.
Yeah, another question is related generally to them, to the topic of discussion. What is actually a solution to make sure that these children who are in conflict are actually brought back to the family when they are cancelled or when they serve this jail time? What else do you do to them, special organizations, make sure that they come back when they are minded? Thank you.
Thank you, Dieng. Are you ready?
Hello.
Aywa. Mabata Lucas Sebit Kefa Lemungaba.
Lemungaba tamam de semi sokolea. Wallahi semi sokon sedit da kan dero gen so leta fi Kefa na ga arsi jo.
Mukeva ga na de baro kaman bigit sokon la hadi jwa jeb.
Ya sallah.
Naam.
Okay. Ana wonu su kalamta na de tafigin be. Sasa kalam zima kwes. Kalamu ali bisiuzo di kutu fisigin itaba before zone ma kwes. Asli mana ana bonus man. Yom da kan na dai flo mun ga ben jena ta oko ta gege mana silibeti ne. Yala na ya fras maksuli bito. Yawo ya angul askrim. Ja guptu binia de to wal fi madrasa tabal madrasa de kan ma dugu bitin. Nas ma fogo. Yala bis da amul ya skarus kende de dersi fogo yawo. Anna ke kala dina sgejere na fisuni gara wona de wade kan se ta ko tege ne kadu. Yawo anna gobu zon le anna wadi fi ya fi kuburi. Habuba enak yani na fi police biga dere hawili wele de biga bendu ni ana de wadi fi makama de wadi biga fi sujun de wadi lo fi sujun ana ja gal asa kala ana deru kalida fala gurus ana gulal ana madere be gurus gal o der gurus ta gal ko der hanno tumbe alif kul ma zon ka sisu tumbe alif wadi kala mo sidu digare kala ma ka jagare ajal fi garama de ana da molo do tumbe alif yalla na fi police di alif jine zon de kala fidika harka figa tarbiyata sujud kala de siru ana gulal ana yawo apojena ma fi zol bisiru bodi fi kobar ana ma daero wala de kedin jiru fi bet kala am fi bet ma da mulu bendo nana mulu ya abu makama afal bisiru zol bodi fi sujud ana o muharib mana police de o mananze abu na ma der zol de siru tegin ni kala da mulu kel zol ma fi wala fi ke ni fi ku lo kan ana ma jidu ja mo fi sigini ito mukani bi ko de afal bisiru bodi fi kobar.
Naam, shukran.
So, sina kutar damul dena fi mutaharik ya damul kalaman dere. Ana gero emak zol de mafi mutaharik de maja. Ana gero mutaharik ramon ko na jatani fi dar bitai. So, adia del mutaharik del kan der luman degree ana lokal ya ge saka luman bilgo degree tawal. Ana ya mana sigin de zado. Ko de follow mun suya. De ya kalam de tuman de kalam de ma ko kutu zol fi sigini. Andela buku sabato wale itambi polisi na family tuwali wal tuwali kali inte bara
shukran Luka shukran Luka Sebit Sajan Meja Huda fi dakili studio bezad modubita mutaharekende lo kaman bonus fogo ziada fursa besle mukalama abadaka na bieji wadi fursa le diuf bita fi dakili studio ay radio.
Allo
Ustaz Willy
Madama James مساء الخير.
مساء النور.
والسلام محمد دي استنى قاعدين بيناتنا في جماعة هدى اخوتنا.
نعم.
ده فيها بس انا نقول حاجه كده. طبعا في تهمه ماشي هسه بس انا كنت كان لنا منهم حاجه في تهمه ماشي في جماعه ثانيه بيقول لك نازل ذا هم بيتعامل مرات مع زول المتهم ما بيتعامل بالشافي لانه قال بلد ما فيه قروش نزول لك الشاي لو عندي قروش هم بيتحكمون بيتعامل بالشافي والاثنين قال لك كده من ذاته يعني مرات يعني كان حاجه يراسل من غير ما نمضمن من نمسكها إذا بكون يوم أنا من الأيام يا بكون إذا الزوج بينتا تجمع يا الزوج بينتا أودا يقول لك كم بينتا كان زمان الأسبوع يا جميل يقول لك كم بينتا كان زمان يقول لك المشكلة بيننا
ويلي معلش ويلي وسط shabagan marufana khita nam wasat zaman anna kerebiga shilu fasila la badak lo aner jana bodi fursa de awel le advocate Morris yala bade Sergeant Major Huda.
انت في محل بتستهيك تكون فيه كليك مع اي راديو انا تكون في جنوب السودان.
Welcome back fi zaman bita sandera Rahibo Advocate Morris Sashan K fi shilu comments wa questions baru al-kaman mustemen nashado tijabita kwa tijabita Sergeant Major Huda kaman bijuabu hago marhaba.
Shukran katira James wa shukran kulla musamena la nasar gajar bik telefon wasal asla. Ana bijoba fi Jamaica Guta fi kalamata Ustaz William Luka Golem kalamta police investigator dana bisibule surgeon naja lakini ana bes den nakelim fi kalamta kan gurush ma fi le survivor obi ligo hak bitaw ke de anay mina wil gibela sar swal anay fi effort katir min munazamat algi sadu nas survivors gender based violence fi will nama bende na bukun GPV and juvenile courts. But we have those JCC which has been established by UNDP. I don't know which organization is specifically implementing the JCC, which is the Justice Confidence Center. So Lofi Munaza Mazalefi will you go to them, they'll be able to help out with this kind of small costs related to the survivors GPV to access their cases. You just need to find out which organization is implementing, because we know like South Sudan South Sudan Law Society, Steward Women are doing the JCC centers, but I don't know whether they're in a will. You need to find out, because if you go to them in a will, the problem is people sometimes don't know who are the service providers in those kind of areas. But you go to a will, you find out if they are there, they will be able to help you with this small expenses to let your case continue. And physialism Diang Deng Albarul mina will can kalim bino in record betaw fi mahakama with this kind of. So the good thing is all report case fi mahakama. Let him continue to follow the case, and because it's only the court who can determine the fate of the case. Or will be fi domestic violence I can gas in record betaw al fata fogo balak. How can he go about this case? So I'm just saying you follow up the case of mahakama. Lano the challenge is nas get abandoned cases fi mahakama. Yeah, at the end of the day, when we just blame Bino Maka or Mashakal, this kind of things. But if you're a serious complaint and you follow your case, Finihaya Bita Wasulu. There's this last concern about Yala in the conflict with the law. How did they come out like to be integrated into the community again? Because it again, Yaldel, okay, now it's very risky to bring them back to the community. Because Zola already who's dramatized are into issues. Masalan, if not a survivor or somebody who is in conflict with the law, making hakimo kan talata asena wala arba asena. But the purpose of the punishment is to rehabilitate or to reform the child. Alin dukan bad thinging asan bija mafi osura wala fi muktama mahaja kwa isfrasto. So the only thing is this kind of children, it requires counseling by the social workers, by people who are in the community, the religious leaders, and they said that they will be fit back into the community. Shukran.
Fursa biga leka bezana sal commanderu sibu gadiyad itum gad bamul shinu to make sure cases are followed up. Marhaba.
Shukran le fursa. Ana murtaa jiddan alela na fijola ana bardin di jara kebira giwaja gelba taibe kalama zele. Alhamdulillah de fursa ana asma kalamatakum. Ana bionu sawa fi kalamte investigation de. Ya jamaa lena kan special protection unit indana 10 aksam. Fi 10 aksam de kan fi cases de tes GBV de iya zol fi iya GBV investigators bardu fi mutaharin al derribu khas le barnami te GBV. Lo zol ma biaruf malesh. بالنسبة لسؤال على سرير يا جماعة لو يتشاكي تجابالك متحرك شيلا هوالو در حاول فيكم متام بطريقة اللي أنت ما بقدر فاهم لازم عندك حق تبامشي للداب الجنايات بس هذا مشكلة وين زول ده ما كامل مشكلة تاي ودر فيكو بيكون كيف ده إنه داب الجنايات بيجيرو متحرك ده بيشيلو أهوال من بداية عشان كده صحيح موضوعان زولن دي حق عشان جافتا بلاغ ده دي زول علام الجريمة يا جماعة وشكرا.
نعم وكيرن نبودي فرصة لأدفوكيت موريس رسالتك في 30 ثانية.
اوكي شكرا كثير لاي راديو وشكرا كل المستمعين تا اي راديو. اول حاجه انا بودي شكرا كثير ل Kingdom of Netherlands my UNDP le funding because we need to reach out to the community with our awarenesses. Number 2 ana boss because le nasar fi Juba ka risala benu indina the emergency call center le GBV related cases. Mo located based around Buluk. If you are within Juba you can call 112 can fi a case the GBV, please you dial that number. They will be able to access you. After the makalam given us going to Kangal Mafi Arabia, they will rush with an ambulance. Fi mahala GBV case hasil fogo bishilo survivor bala fi muchesfa because the first point is in under GBV case tabe sadu survivor cave. Sadu awul for antikata medical assistance then ajeta ende be follow.
Shukran.
Thank you so much.
Shukran Sajan Meja Huda akirisal tagle muslimin bita iza dai radio fi zaman bitasa.
Akirisal tai ya jama kan hasil mushkila te GBV nas kede mas kutu kede nas manumu lazim ke nas balig lena fi bolis ashan GBV de jerima aslan mata askutu tabil go musaadat lo tama bagder balig fi bolis lo ita askutu inak anna ma baruf ya jama de ya message tai takum lazim ibalig ashan takum digos kadama de beteriga sa زي ما أنا أقول لكم في أي قسم في SPU سالة في مستشفى في SPU دكاترة برضو في مستشفى جوبا في SPU. شكرا لكم.
And up to here I would like to take this special opportunity to thank those who have taken their humble time to follow us via our Facebook page. We have got Luak, got Chris Davo, promoter, and Oloya Ronald. We have Job Lil Madudayen, and then Adani Francis Andriano, Tandu Philip, plus all of you that have not really mentioned here. Thank you all for your concern and sharing your opinion with us. We have come to the end of